Hello, my lovelies. So it's a beautiful day. I decided to get a little bit outside of the house to just see something else. It's now soon gonna be 4 months that my love, my fiancé, passed away, and I am dreading every anniversary. To me, it feels like it was yesterday, or maybe a few days only ago, that he's gonna be back anytime soon, right? That's how I feel. But turns out he's not. And the other day, I had a conversation with someone very close in my family, and he was like, you should give yourself just a few more months, but then it's time to start from scratch again. And I was just so shocked when I heard that thought, because that's the person was the person that I wanted to spend the rest of my life with. My person, he's the person that was the closest to me, to my heart, to my mind, to my soul, to everything. We were like this, not a sheet of paper would fit between us. And how can someone just say something like, then and then it's time to move on? Which brought me to do this video, because the idea of moving on to me sounds dreading and awful. On the other hand, life continues, whether you want it or not. At the end of the video, I hope that I can have given you a way to live your life in a meaningful way, and questions that fuel you instead of draining you, that allows you to move on in a better way, hopefully, and not alone, because we're never alone. Our beloved ones are with us, just in a different form, a different composition, a different constellation. So I decided to make this video about how to move on without actually moving on. One side of you doesn't want to move on, and you can never move on. I don't even think you should move on. It's more about how to live with the pain that you have. And on the other hand, there's the practical life. You need to get out in the mornings, out of bed. You need to go to work. You need to pay the bills. You need to meet people. You need to just have something like a life. But how do you make that life? How do you carry on in that life where nothing makes sense anymore after you have lost your beloved one? After 4 months, the world in a way has moved on, but you still carry the full weight. And only 4 months after losing your beloved person, it's still like the feel is so heavy, it's still so present. And the idea with moving on is dreading. You don't want to move away from that person. You don't want to. And for me, one of the things that changed me, how I saw the concept of moving on, was moving towards the person that I loved. I'm not leaving the person that I lost behind. And while we are in that process, sometimes things get messy. You are in the unknown. You don't know how to do that in the best way. People have a conception or a notion that you should have moved on already. I think you should never be faking. We need to find a way on how to deal with all that pain and all that grief that we have inside of us, and convert it maybe into something. But how to do that when everything feels heavy? The first thing that we need to be super conscious about is that grief is not a problem to solve. It's just love that has nowhere to go. Love is a big energy, and there is no timeline for that love. So you don't need to give yourself permission to have moved on, or to stay, or to grieve as long as you want or need to. And even for the crying, if you need to cry, cry. It's nothing to be dismissed. I cried in the supermarket the other day because I saw some cookies that remembered me of safe, and then I stand there and I just cry. So there is no timeline in all of this. There's just massive love after losing the person that you loved that has nowhere to go. I believe that love is a very fertile ground from which amazing things can grow. So I'm trying to convert that love into something positive, and to channel it into something positive. One of the ways is, for example, content creation. Since he passed, I've been on fire with content creation, because there's so much in my mind, so much in my heart that I want to share, and I need to funnel that love. How do we grow better from here? How do we grow with all that pain? How can we find, again, a little bit of a sense of joy purpose, meaning, when everything has been stripped away. There's basically one question to what it all comes down to, and it is, what's the story I want to tell him when I meet him again? So to tickle it down, I basically ask myself, what in yourself, in your deepest self, makes you feel alive? In my case, that was traveling. The other question that I ask myself, what makes that person happy? And I believe in between these two questions, what makes me very happy and what was it that brought joy and happiness to my person? In that space between those two questions, that's where your answer lies. I never thought I would meet a person that would love and enjoy travel as much as I would do, but somehow there he was, safe. Travel is what makes me feel closer to him. And for you to come closer to your person and to continue your story or start your story without leaving your person behind, ask yourself, what is it that made my person so happy? And what is it that makes me deeply happy? List the things down, write them down, and start trying to find connections in between them. And that would be already a great starting point. Now you might ask yourself, I don't know who I am after all of this anymore, because my partner was part of me, and who am I without my partner? I believe it's really normal questions to ask yourself, and I asked themselves to myself as well. I found for myself that I would be able to listen better and more to my inner voice if I would get rid of all distractions. If I would really just sit with my pain, with my inner voice, and listen, delve in the memories with my beloved ones, or sometimes listening to an old voice message, reading an old letter of him, reading an old message. That's where I would slowly find the things that would bring me on the path where I say, okay, let's do this step by step. So if everything seems gone and you don't know what brings you joy, get rid of the distractions, strip all the noise away, and find again what could bring you joy. Is pain energy? I don't know. But I do know that pain can either flatten you or it can fuel you. And maybe that's just a conscious choice that you make. Will I allow that the loss, pain, lack will define me? Or will I take all of this and take it as a fuel that fuels me towards my purpose, that fuels me to go in a direction that I would never have walked in if it wasn't for that pain? I cannot sit in the pain. It's too painful. I rather prefer to move in a direction from which I know there's going to be a good story coming out of it that I want to tell safe. That's the direction. This YouTube channel is part of it. And actually, it's something that he wanted to do as well. I am not going to do it his style, but his leaving created the space and time to just say, hey, I need to talk on camera, I need to share moments and things about grief, identity and connection that are not talked enough about. So pain can fuel you. Pain, in a way, can be a guide through your grief, not a compass and also not a way to bypass it. It can guide you through your grief. How to move forward when you feel there's no reason to move forward. It all comes down to that question. What story do you want to tell your person when you meet again? The love doesn't stop. The love is there and it's abundant, it's endless, if that was your person. It's eternal. Convert it into something. Don't let that love and that pain stop you. Convert it into something that does good in this world, that makes a change in this world, as little as it is. Because at the end we are just here for such a short time, and we need to make the most out of it with the little time that we have been giving. And I do want to make sure that there's a great story to tell when my life comes to an end and I'll be with safe again. And all of these things don't have to be, so how do you move on? I don't think you need to give yourself permission. You don't need to feel completely ready. It's so often just little steps, which at the end turn into something larger. And just because you live fully and you want to write that story and you want to create that story that you're going to tell your person, just because you live that principle so fully, it doesn't mean that you have moved on. It doesn't mean that you have forgotten. It doesn't mean that you're ignoring or no, it doesn't mean that. It means that you take all that love that this person has given you, you take all that energy that this love has given you, and you truly believe that that person is close and is watching. Your person is watching. I imagine he's watching like in the movies, in the theater. And he's watching, what is she gonna do? And I don't want to disappoint. We never want to disappoint our loved ones. Act as if he's watching, as if he's a little bird or she is a little bird on your shoulder, and create that story step by step. And I'm sure once you're reunited, it will be a blast when you exchange these stories.